Hey guys, tonight we slip into a world of icy breath and flickering warmth, where the wind never really stops, the dark feels alive, and survival depends on a bowl of flame barely the size of your hands. You crouch in an igloo packed tight with snow bricks, each one pressed into place with aching fingers. It's silent, except for the hiss of the wind clawing outside and the soft, steady burn of the qulliq, a seal oil lamp glowing like a heartbeat on a smooth soapstone shelf. That fire, it's your entire life. Your heating system, your stove, your nightlight, and let's be honest, your closest friend during a 40-day blizzard. The lamp gives off just enough warmth to keep your fingers from turning blue and your soup from freezing mid-spoonful. You settle into your fur bedding, but that flame keeps calling your eye. Its golden shimmer warps shadows across the snow walls, transforming them into dancing figures, almost alive. You pull your parka tighter around you and wonder if that shadow in the corner moved, or if you've just had too little sleep and too much seal blubber. But let's be clear, this life, you probably wouldn't survive it, not just because it's cold, though yes, it is brutally, bone-snappingly cold, but because you'd need to memorize 100 tiny rituals, decisions, and rhythms just to make it through a single night without freezing, starving, or burning down your entire home with one careless swipe of moss. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Also, I'd love to know, where are you listening from, and what time is it for you right now? Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You open your eyes to a dim glow. The qulliq still burns, just barely. Its flame trembles against the drafty curves of your igloo. Your fingers twitch beneath layers of caribou hide, still stiff from yesterday's hunt. Outside, the sky remains the same deep, inky blue that it's been for weeks. The sun hasn't risen and won't for days, but you're not afraid. This is your world. It always has been. The lamp, your qulliq, is more than fire. It's a mother's hand cupping your cheek. A whisper in the dark that says, "You're still alive." It rests on a small stone platform, carefully placed at the windward curve of your home, where the heat can circulate but the smoke won't choke you out. It's shaped like a half moon, shallow and wide, almost like a soup dish left behind by the moon. This morning, or what passes for morning when the sky doesn't shift, you'll check the wick. Arctic moss or dried cotton grass twisted into a snake and laid along the curve. You pinch it gently, still damp from last night's breath, the oil's running low, time to refill. The process is instinct by now. You reach for a pouch of cured blubber, the fat of a ringed seal harvested 2 moons ago. Each bite was chewed with respect, each strip dried by hand. Now it fuels the flame. You break off a hunk with a curved uluak blade, your wrist making the motion your grandmother taught you before your voice changed. The fat squelches into the lamp's bowl with a quiet suck. It's not elegant. It never is. You lean closer. The smoke is soft today, curling into the ceiling like it knows where to go. Your nose twitches. That smell, half burnt, half alive, is home. Historians still argue whether the smell of a qulliq was comforting or nauseating to outsiders. One 19th century explorer claimed it was like eating fish over a burning tire. You laugh at that. He didn't eat fish right. There's heat here, but not much. Enough to melt the frost from your eyelashes, enough to keep your water skin just above freezing. You don't expect comfort, just survival. You sip yesterday's broth, warmed slightly by placing it beside the lamp. The taste is oily, earthy, with a sharp, mossy bite, like drinking warmth with a side of tundra. You lean back against a pile of skins, your weight making a soft rustle. Beside you, your younger cousin stirs in his sleep. His breath fogs the air. You wonder if he dreamed of the time his mittens caught fire last winter. Qulliqs don't forgive carelessness. They sit low, they burn constant, and they devour anything placed too close. You still remember your own first burn, a blister the size of a gull's egg. You didn't cry, not where anyone could hear. Even now, the lamp draws your gaze. The flame flutters, almost winks. Some believe each flame holds a spirit, that if you listen long enough, it whispers secrets from under the ice. Others scoff, say it's just superstition, a way to keep kids from knocking it over. But deep in a month-long night, when all you've got is shadows and the memory of seal eyes watching you from under the ice, you start to wonder. There's a fringe theory, never popular but weirdly specific, that some early Inuit saw the qulliq as a living creature, one that required feeding, grooming, and praise. Not just a tool, but a pet with fire for blood. You've met elders who greet their lamp every evening, mumble a few words before lighting it. They say it keeps the flame from sulking. You don't question them. The flame flickers higher now, licking toward the ceiling. You adjust the wick with a sharpened rib bone. One flick too many and it gutters. Too little and it smokes. It's a dance like everything else here. Balance is survival. Your cousin rolls over, mumbles something in his sleep about a sled dog stealing his fish. You smile. Even frozen moons need a little absurdity. You listen to the flame again, its soft crackle sinking with your breath. The storm outside has mellowed to a steady whisper, like a giant brushing its fingers across the snow. You imagine the outside. Endless white, the frozen sea, and black ice cliffs taller than memory. But inside there is this. A flame, a cousin, a bowl of warm fish broth, and the patience of 1,000 winters flickering against the dark. And suddenly, that feels like more than enough. With a warm patch of sun on your back, you take a deep breath and set off into the crisp Arctic air, heart pounding in anticipation of the day's adventure. The map, weathered and cryptic, inspires both trepidation and excitement, like a riddle only a daring soul would decode. As you trudge over the blanket of snow, the chill air shoots like icy fingers through your clothes, but don't worry. Compared to your quest, it's just a gentle reminder to keep moving. A thrilling thought dances in your mind. The Inuits' ingenious design of seal oil lamps, those fascinating tools that lit their homes with warmth and glow, flickers like a distant goal, even though you can barely see it from your spot in the snow. Making these lamps was an art form, often adorned with intricate carvings that represented community stories. If you can light one of those lamps, you could really impress your friends, or at the very least, keep them entertained while you roast marshmallows, a little Sunday gathering by the fire. No s'mores allowed, though. Those things go up in smoke faster than an angry seal. As you navigate through the vast icy landscape, you can't help but think about the legendary hunters of old with their steadfast courage, some of which claim they could navigate the treacherous seas on a whim just because they'd seen the North Star rise more times than they could count. This time of year, the locals debate whether those navigators relied more on the stars or their cute, fuzzy dog companions leading the way. Historians still argue whether the Northern Lights were considered good omens or masterful pranks pulled by the spirits of the great beyond. I mean, ever seen an aurora borealis and not thought, wow, someone is really showing off? With your thoughts swirling, you notice tracks trailing deeper into a thicket of frosted trees. Curiosity compels you to follow. Perhaps a friendly polar bear will share its secrets, or maybe you'll just find yourself needing a bear hug for warmth. Literally. As you approach, the faint sound of cracking ice beneath your boots breaks you from your daydream. This isn't a stroll in the park. Danger might be closer than you think. You remember how the seals practically mastered the art of staying on the right side of the ice, negotiating their way with a wobble and a splash, while you, on the other hand, could probably trip over your own 2 feet without even trying. Your thoughts turn back to the seals, their oil not only nourishing but highly valued, like the fried dough of your childhood. That leads to another airy thought. Have seals ever considered starting a gourmet oil brand? Imagine the labels, from the depths of the Arctic with love. Be careful though. You might just end up with a few slick furs in your collection. After meandering through the trees, the wind begins to pick up, tugging at your clothes like it's trying to air out old laundry. Just then, a flicker of light catches your attention. You approach cautiously, heart steadying as you peek around a snow-dusted bush. There, nestled snugly against a rocky outcrop, is an old igloo spewing a warm, welcoming glow. The yellow light spills through the entrance like honey, promising a refuge from the biting chill outside. You can almost smell the enticing aroma of baked seal meat that reminds you of early winter feasts. A few brave spirits gather inside, their laughter melding with the bubble of simmering oil from the lamps. You have to wonder if this is how families once sat together around the fire, swapping tailies while the seal oil lamps flickered, casting playful shadows on the walls. An age when simple joys held more weight than any modern gadget could ever hope to. But then a thought crosses your mind. Is it really all about that seal oil? Or perhaps the sense of home and camaraderie that mattered most? Ah, the eternal debate of history, where one's experience flavors the fresh stories spun repeatedly like old, half-told tailies. With the spark of courage flaring, you pull your collar up snug against your neck and stride toward the igloo, ready to share your own story. An encounter that could end up becoming an epic tale for the future. You push open the door to the inviting igloo, the soft glow of the seal oil lamps reflecting off the ice walls and illuminating the faces of your friends gathered inside. They turn to you with sparkling eyes, eager for adventure, hungry for warmth, and ready to hear about your discovery. Next to the fire, a history buff named Sam leans forward, his glasses fogging slightly as he breathes in the cozy atmosphere. You know, the Inuit were masters of navigation. They used their knowledge of the stars and the land to traverse the Arctic long before GPS was even a dream. Your eyes widen, amazed at how connected you feel to the tailies of survival swirling around you. Another friend, Zoe, a wannabe navigator who's more likely to get lost in her own backyard than in the wilds of Canada, taps a finger against her chin dramatically. I could see it now. We navigate using nothing but the stars and my trusty compass app. The group bursts into laughter, imagining Zoe staring at her phone as polar bears pondered the meaning of life nearby. Carl, the jokester of your crew, chimes in. Sure, and I'll bring my new invention, the polar bear repellent spray. Just a few spritzes, though I can't guarantee it doesn't just repel human friends instead. The room erupts in laughter again, and you feel the warmth embrace not just your body but your spirit as well. As you steady your thoughts, you consider the members of your crew, knowing they all have something to bring to the table. Zoe's navigation skills might need work, but Sam can dive into the history of every place you visit, and Carl provides an endless supply of humor to lift spirits. Beside him, there's Mia, a self-proclaimed philosopher who often thinks about life's biggest questions, like, if a seal could wear a tuxedo, would it still be a seal? You all chuckle at such a nonsense thought, yet its absurdity brings a welcome lightness to your hearts. With warm drinks in hand, you explain your quest, to learn how the Inuit community thrived in such cold, treacherous environments, and of course, to harness the magic of those seal oil lamps. Historians still argue whether the Inuit relied more heavily on the seals or the whales for their subsistence, but you're awash in the excitement of potential discoveries. All right, crew, you announce, energizing them with the idea that they will be embarking on a nearly mythic quest. This is not just about lamps. It's about stories, survival, and keeping each other warm. Not just physically, but in spirit too. With a newfound determination, the crew starts designing survival strategies. Sam is already sketching out a timeline of Inuit history on a napkin, and Zoe is enthusiastically pointing out north on her app for the umpteenth time. You think there should be a required class on basic directions. You can't help but tease, Zoe, we might need a class just to teach you which way is home. Everyone laughs again, and you feel grateful for the bonds surrounding you. As the laughter subsides, you quietly reflect that each member adds a quirky element to your tight-knit team. Carl is off balancing a spoon on his nose, while Mia mulls over whether the art of lamp making could somehow include personal philosophy. Suddenly she exclaims, "What do we call the light from the lamps? The sea light or the warm light of home?" You smile at how creative everyone gets when surrounded by warmth and community, and it fills you with hope for the journey ahead. Finally, you huddle closer together, glancing at the flickering flames of the seal oil lamps, each flicker a beacon of the stories you are about to unfold. With hearts set on exploration and minds racing with ideas, you close your eyes for just a moment, savoring the cozy calm before the delightful chaos of your adventure begins. Together, you're not just a ragtag team, but a family, each bringing unique quirks and strengths, ready to face the Arctic cold like true heroes. The air is thick with mist as you make your way through the dense forest, the trees looming like silent sentinels on either side. It's as if nature herself has decided to play a little trick on your adventurous spirit, hiding the path ahead in this whimsical haze. You squint at your map, now wavering in your hands, the lines blurring under the fog's enchantment. "Hold on," you say, glancing at your friends, who are also peering at the vaguely wrinkled piece of paper with growing curiosity. Is it just me, or is this map trying to sell us a wild goose chase? The jokester chuckles, declaring, "If only we could follow a goose instead, we might at least get some good directions." As you navigate the twisting paths, each turn feels like a new riddle. Your amateur navigator, usually full of confidence, scratches his head, pondering. "This shouldn't be that hard. I swear the last time I checked, north was supposed to be." "Over there," he gestures vaguely, and you all share a laugh, buoyed by your camaraderie amidst the confusion. Yet the laughter masks the prickling unease beneath. This forest, with its whispering winds and muffled sounds, feels alive, almost sentient. The mist clings to your skin, and chac breath carries the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves. You can almost hear the trees murmuring age-old secrets as you press deeper, the thrill of exploration tingling in the air. Historians still argue whether this forest was previously a hunting ground for early Inuit communities, or simply a hive of folklore. They say it's filled with ancient spirits, perhaps those of ancestors who guided their descendants through the wilderness, hunting seals, or lighting their way with oil lamps. It's fascinating to think about the glowing light that once flickered in their homes, warm and inviting against the stark Arctic landscape. And here you are, cloaked in fog, chasing echoes of that very warmth. A shiver runs down your spine, reminding you of the brisk chill lingering just outside the warmth of your memories. After a while, the navigational headaches prompt a new strategy. "Let's split up," suggests the history buff, carefully considering the surrounding area. "We can cover more ground and meet back here in half an hour." You raise an eyebrow. "Split up? In a misty forest? What kind of plot twist are we attempting? This isn't a horror film." "Don't be such a scaredy cat," your philosophy-loving friend grins. "If we get lost, we can just ponder our existence while waiting for someone to find us." The thought sends a ripple of gentler laughter through your group. Eventually, you resolve together to stick close and brave this misty unknown as a team, partly because wandering off alone seems like the worst idea ever, and partly because you enjoy the banter that keeps your spirits afloat. As you continue onward, strange sounds arise from the depths of the mist. A rustling here, a snap of a twig there. "I swear I just heard a bear," the jokester exclaims, his eyes widen theatrically. "Or was it the sound of my dreams being crushed by lost directions?" Just then, a rabbit darts across your path, bringing instant relief and another round of laughter. See, nothing to fear but more misplaced maps. You can't shake the feeling, though, that this fog is hiding more than just your card of directions. Each step feels heavy with history, and you imagine how the resilience of the Inuit echoed through their own journeys, lighting their seal oil lamps to fend off darkness. The solitary lamp, could burn for hours, casting its warm glow and warding off the biting cold. Eventually, surely enough, the mist begins to thin, revealing a clearing ahead. Tall grasses sway gently, lit by slivers of pale light that break through the clouds above. It's almost dreamlike, like stepping from one world into another, where the adventures past mingle with your own history woven into the fabric of this present moment. Could this be where they congregated? You wonder aloud, excitement creeping back in. If only these woods could speak, they'd probably tell us to watch out for lunch breaks. The laughter rolls through again, lifting the thick air, and there's a sense of a rising anticipation together as you inch into this new space, feeling invigorated by the fresh air, a contrast to the misty weight behind. Your group leans in, believing the discoveries await just beyond the realm of the ordinary, beckoning to be uncovered. Then in the distance, a soft glow catches your eye, a flicker like the flame of a lamp. Has your journey been guided by spirits, or the complex handiwork of your friend's imagination? Regardless, you move forward together, ready to embrace whatever lies ahead as your quest continues, leaving the fog and its mysteries behind, welcoming the warmth that comes with every step. As you approach the warm glow filtering through the trees, the mist begins to clear, unveiling a quaint wooden cabin nestled against the backdrop of towering evergreens. The light spills out from the windows, illuminating the ground in a golden halo. It feels oddly inviting. Curiosity piquing, you gently push open the door and step inside. Inside, the air is rich with the scent of pine and something else, perhaps a hint of smoked fish. Your eyes land on a charming local historian, an older gentleman with an infectious smile and a gnarled walking stick. "Ah, welcome," he exclaims. "You must be the adventurous souls I've heard about." You find yourself caught up in his easy chatter, the atmosphere lightening as he launches into tales of seal oil lamps and the ancient Inuit communities that utilized them for warmth and light during their long, frigid winters. Did you know that their use of seal oil lamps wasn't just practical? It was almost a social event, he chuckles. Gathering around one of those lamps meant not just illumination, but a warm-hearted gathering, exchanging stories just like we are now. His enthusiasm is contagious. The historian explains, each oil lamp could emit enough light to read by, and when combined with the rich tapestry of their culture, it was indeed the heart of many households. You chuckle slyly, wondering how many modern gatherings could use a good lamp to drown out those awkward silences. Let's face it, everyone can't just stare at their phones. Eager to absorb more, you notice a collection of artifacts lining the walls, including intricate carvings depicting everyday life in their chilly habitat. "This is fascinating," you say, pointing to a depiction of a kayaker expertly navigating icy waters. The historian nods, sharing historical nuggets as if sprinkling fairy dust. The Inuit have been known for their incredible kayaking skills, so much so that they took their vessels everywhere. Historians still argue whether they were the original extreme sports enthusiasts. A smile creeps onto your face as you imagine modern-day kayakers summoning superhuman tactics while braving ocean waves. And don't forget about their community spirit, he continues, unfazed by your daydream. It was literally all hands on deck, so to speak. Even when navigating through storms, the Inuit worked together to ensure everyone stayed afloat. Quite the opposite of those very personal kayaking experiences we see today. You let out a little hum, considering that community aspect. Most of your own experiences with teamwork involve shouting over Zoom during endless project meetings. Not quite the same spirit, but still, you can't help but respect the way those ancient communities rallied, keeping one another's lives, quite literally, in their hands. As the historian warms to his tales, he theatrically introduces a quirky tidbit. And here's something for you to ponder. Some scholars believe the traditional igloo wasn't just a shelter, but was designed for culinary purposes as well. Imagine that, the original oven. Can you just picture dinner parties in igloos? Oh, don't mind the slightly frozen atmosphere. We're actually just keeping it chill, you remark, prompting a chuckle from the historian. You feel a sense of excitement bubbling up inside you. The historian leans in, eager to share one last story. While each lamp brought warmth, it also carried the metaphor of resilience. In times of struggle, they always kept the fire burning, connecting generations and stories, much like we do right now over this chat. It's inspiring, really. He pauses, his eyes shining with the weight of history. Then he leans back, hands clasped comfortably over his lap, as if waiting for your response. You take a deep breath, considering how layered and nuanced the quest ahead is becoming. You realize you're not just chasing treasure. You're embarking on a journey through time, culture, and the warmth shared among communities. Before you leave, the historian scribbles a note on a piece of parchment, offering tips on where to continue your adventure, a breadcrumb trail leading deeper into the heart of history. As you thank him, a quirky notion pops into your head. Maybe the real treasure isn't buried gold. Perhaps it's more stories waiting to be discovered, just like the one you shared tonight. With a farewell full of warmth, you step back into the crisp night air, the hunts for stories alive in your heart, the laughter from the cabin echoing as you and your companions regroup. The faint mist swirls around, but your path feels clearer now, guided by the warmth of a newfound purpose, and perhaps a sprinkle of charm from the local historian. With the historian's tailies swirling in your mind, you step outside, the crisp night air biting at your cheeks. Ahead lies your first challenge, a rickety bridge swaying precariously over a roaring river. The water beneath gurgles like a bubbling cauldron, and you can almost hear it chuckling at your anxiety. You glance at your group, and while a few seem as unfazed as if they were about to stroll through a cafe, others dart nervous glances at the bridge. This isn't just any bridge. You've read how early civilizations often constructed makeshift river crossings from local resources. In this case, it looks like it's made of reclaimed wood and a sprinkle of trust. "All right, team," someone shouts, attempting to rally spirits. "If we make it across, I promise the first round of drinks is on me." A collective chuckle ripples through your crew, a shared mix of humor and apprehension. Slowly, you all approach the bridge, each step feeling as though the wood might whisper beneath your weight. "What's the worst that could happen?" you joke, feigning a confident grin. The truth is, you're not entirely convinced of that. As you step onto the bridge, it creaks ominously, a sound reminiscent of your grandmother's hip when she tries to dance. You fight the urge to look down at the raging river. The sound alone is enough to send your heart racing. Historians still argue whether a bridge's design or the materials used impact how brave its crossers feel. But in this moment, you imagine that a sturdier affair would certainly sweeten your resolve. With each cautious step, your friends begin to cross, one by one, creating a living chain of support. You grip the rope rail tightly, feeling both comforted by its presence and terrified at how much faith you're putting into your grip right now. Halfway across, a gust of wind dances through, and you fight against the urge to sway with it. "If this bridge collapses, I expect everyone to try and float like the seals," you call jokingly, which earns a chorus of laughter, even from those who appear to be training for the Olympic sport of bridge crossing anxiety. And that quirky piece of trivia you once read about the Inuit. They didn't just rely on their seal oil lamps for warmth. They also harbored a certain magic in their traditions, like whispering to the sea creatures for safe passage and bountiful catches. Maybe you should try some form of aquatic invocation. "Dear fishes, please don't eat me during my daring escape," you mumble under your breath. Finally, you reach the other side, and a wave of relief washes over you. If you thought that was challenging, wait until you see the uphill hike we have after this. Someone pipes up, teasingly. Amid the laughter, your heart brims with camaraderie, your fears melting away like the snow once draped upon the land. No matter the challenges ahead, this moment solidifies your sense of teamwork. It's not just about moving forward, it's about crossing obstacles together. Each hesitant laugh, each shared reluctance, is like the warmth of the seal oil lamps illuminating ancient gatherings, weaving stories of resilience that echo through time. As you step away from the bridge and share knowing glances with your companions, you feel a deeper understanding of the challenges faced by those who traveled these lands long ago, uniting against their own fears and obstacles. Under the star-studded sky, you find comfort in the shared journey. Who knew trepidation could lead to such unexpected joy? Tomorrow, you'll tackle the hill together, gathering more stories and laughter, building new memories and creating connections just like those ancient Inuit communities. After all, wasn't that what the adventure was truly about? As you step into the cool shadow of the ancient cave, it radiates a mysterious ambience, almost as if it's expecting you. The rocky walls glisten with dampness, and the air is tinged with a hint of salty breeze from the ocean beyond. Your footsteps echo softly, creating an echoing melody of anticipation that sets the stage for what lies ahead. Just as you think this place must hold secrets, your eyes catch the flicker of something shiny nestled among the jagged stones. Curious, you crouch down, revealing a set of weathered tools, flint knives, small spearheads, and even a beautifully carved artifact resembling an animal, perhaps an ancient seal or a long-forgotten caribou. Look at this. It's like an ancient garage sale. Someone quips from behind you, trying to inject a bit of laughter into the quietude. You chuckle, already imagining how different car deals must have been thousands of years ago. No haggling over prices, just bartering with bone and stone. As you explore further, you come across drawings scorched into the cave walls, depicting what could only be described as dragons towering over treasure chests. Yes, dragons. Legends once claimed that ancient explorers believed these mythical creatures were guardians of untouched riches hidden within caves across the Arctic. You can't help but grin. The thought of dragons defending seal oil was too fantastic to resist. Would the dragons have been cranky about the oil? There's no way to ignite a light without a little fire, buddy. With every corner you turn, the cave springs to life with tales from a distant past, blending fact and folklore seamlessly. One wall catches your attention with a particularly intricate sketch of an early Inuit community working together to build homes and fish in the icy waters. Engrossed, you're struck by how much they relied on their environment, adapting to it with intelligence and resilience. One historical fact swims to the forefront of your mind. Archaeologists discovered that these early communities invented tools capable of sealing blubber over a pot, effectively making the first candle, which lasted through the long, dark winters. Talk about a bright idea. Your group debates whether to leave or stay a little longer. You know, staying here makes me feel like one of those cave people, someone jokes, pretending to scratch markings on the wall. Next, we'll be wearing mammoth skins and eating raw fish. You laugh, shaking your head, but inwardly you admire their imagination. Historians still argue whether early Inuit populations believed in dragons or if sighs of wind were merely misunderstood as roars of fantastic beasts. It brings a sense of comfort to note how tales thrive across cultures, sometimes uniting them in shared laughter and shared fears. As the glow from your lantern dances against the damp cave walls, you stumble upon a small alcove adorned with decorated drum skins. Picking one up, you feel the tension between the modern world and these ancient cultures. With a playful grin, you thump it and say, "Let's start a drum circle." Next up, the hit single, "The Lament of the Lost Seal Oil." The humor lightens the weight of time as your companions dissolve into laughter. Time stretches lazily within the cave, as though it's forgotten you, or perhaps inviting you to stay longer. Thoughts flit through your mind. What stories do these artifacts hold? What could they teach you about the resilience and creativity of those who walked here long before you? Gathering close in the flickering light, you begin to share the little tidbits of history you've learned, your excitement fluttering as you imagine their lives. A friend leans in closer to hear about the dragons guarding seal oil treasures. Skepticism turned to intrigue as they mockingly adjust their invisible capes. What a sight it must have been. Watch out for that fire-breathing seal. Even in this ancient place, their playful banter adds warmth, echoing the effect of the oil lamps once used long ago by the Inuit. Every artifact whispers tales of survival, innovation, and the communal spirit of those who navigated vast icy landscapes, much like you are doing now. As you prepare to leave, filling your pockets with small souvenirs of knowledge and laughter, you realize the cave is not just a relic of the past, but still very much alive in your spirit. You step out into the light, feeling a renewed connection to those who walked before you, grateful for the voices that continue to resonate through time. You step back into the sunlight, the warmth wrapping around you like an old, cozy blanket. Laughter still dances in the air as your friends recount tales of dragon lore, but soon, a shadow flickers across your group. You squint, straining your eyes against the brightness, and you realize it's not a passing cloud, but a rather imposing figure standing at the entrance of the cave. Behind them, a group of equally apprehensive faces emerge, their expressions as serious as a snowstorm. You recognize them immediately. They're the self-proclaimed treasure hunters from the next village over. There's a palpable tension in the air as they swagger closer, clearly seeking the same ancient treasure you and your friends have just begun to contemplate. You feel your heart race a little faster, like you're sprinting after a wayward seal. Ah, look who decided to join us in this romantic little getaway. One of them smirks, hands on hips. You can't help but roll your eyes. Didn't your mom ever tell you that's what happens when you pick up a treasure map? You get a rival group, a-hole. His friends snicker, excitement bubbling beneath their bravado. You step forward, keeping your composure but feeling the competitive spirit rising within. It's like trying to balance a seal on a sled. You have to stay upright. We're not looking for trouble, just a little adventure, you blurt out with a hint of sarcasm. Yeah, well, we shall see who gets that adventure first, replies one of their number, adding a dramatic flourish, as if preparing for a grand duel. You recall snippets of an old Inuit legend claiming that treasure could only be found by the truly worthy. Historians still argue whether such treasures were, in fact, more than just food, practical tools, or purely mythical. Part of you wonders if their bravado could hold any truth, but your thoughts are soon interrupted as the rival group begins to spread out, combing through the area with unnatural speed. We need to move fast, guys. You turn to your friends, a plan bubbling up like a boiling pot. Let's take the higher path and survey the area. Maybe we can outsmart them. Just then, your friend Emily, ever the cheerful optimist, chimes in. Well, it's not much of a race if they're all dragging their feet. Laughing, you gesture to the group of rivals. They are clearly not the most stealthy of treasure hunters. As you climb higher along a rocky ledge, you can see the rivals below, occasionally checking their maps and pointing at a few indistinct spots with varying intensity. You don't want to admit it, but there's a certain thrill in the competition. It feels like a friendly game of tag, but with an ancient treasure and a little more tension. On one hand, you're edging toward the treasure, and on the other, you keep an ear out for the rivals. You don't want them crashing your party. From your higher vantage point, you can see the coastline stretched out below, with waves crashing against jagged rocks. A sudden idea jumps into your mind, accompanied by fervent excitement. You've heard of ancient checkpoints where treasure seekers would hide their findings within caves that blended into the shoreline. Guys, let's check down by the water. You motion enthusiastically towards the coastline, and your friends nod in agreement, and together you scramble down the rocky slope. Meanwhile, you keep an eye over your shoulder at the rival crew. They're skirting your route more clumsily than a walrus on ice, making a detour that will surely slow them down. But now, every moment counts and you press forward, only to pause as another idea strikes. What if there are clues scattered along the beach? With this new revelation, you break into a jog, scanning the peeled ivory bits and shells for a sign. And then you spot something glimmering a little distance away. A strange amulet that catches the sunlight perfectly, appearing almost alive with flickering colors. It's mesmerizing. You half wonder if it belonged to an ancient sea spirit. "Hey, over here," you shout to your friends, excitement bubbling up like a pot of boiling seal oil. You rush towards the amulet, only to glance back and see the rival group eyeing you enviously. It feels like they're about to trip over their own eagerness, and you chuckle softly. When you reach the amulet, you pick it up carefully with deliberate appreciation. Then, as you inspect it, you discover strange engravings that look vaguely familiar. You brush away some sand and squint, certain there's something more to this than meets the eye. Just then, Emily remarks, "Look, it's an ancient GPS. Just kidding. I think we might have discovered a treasure marking." You grin, excite coursing through your veins. In this moment, no matter the rivalry, it's the thrill of adventure that fills you with joy, and you know you're in for more than just a treasure hunt. As the treasure hunt unfolds with laughter echoing through the caves, dark clouds begin to gather overhead, ominous and heavy. You squint up, watching the storm roll in faster than a hungry wolf at dinner time. Just a moment ago, the sun painted the landscape in warm, golden hues. Now, it seems like the weather took a nosedive down a frigid rabbit hole. You gather your friends, and the radiant joy of discovery quickly changes to a creeping tension. "Looks like we're in for an adventure that'll have us gnawing on our own frostbite for dinner," you quip, attempting to lighten the mood. The chuckles that follow are short-lived as the wind starts to howl like an unloved sled dog. You lead the group toward the coastline, hoping to find a sheltered spot, but the gusts pick up, nearly knocking you off your feet. Behind you, your rivals have already made an escape toward a cluster of rocks, only to be caught between the storm and your inspired resolve. They wrinkle their noses at you, looking like overripe fruit left in a sun-baked pantry, determined but doomed. As the first raindrops thud against the ground, you find yourself pulling your crew into a nearby cave, a small refuge that emanates a damp, earthy smell, reminding you of the remnants of ancient fires and whispered stories of the past. You huddle close to one another, shivering slightly, not because the place is cold. Ironically, it's rather warm thanks to the seal oil lamps left behind from long ago Inuit communities. It's almost as if they knew you'd return and would need a comforting glow. Though they were designed to ward off the long Arctic nights, they now provide a flickering light amidst your own dark thoughts swirling about the storm. So what's the game plan now? Let's hope the treasure doesn't float away. One of your friends shouts over the deafening wind. The humor brings a few smiles, keeping your spirits buoyant, even if only by the thinnest thread. The team rallies together, voices mingling like the harmonies of an ancient chant, unified in purpose despite the chaos outside. Historians still argue whether the Inuit used these innovative oil lamps purely for warmth or simply to create an enchanting atmosphere while they shared their nighttime stories. You consider it was probably a mix of both, like trying to eat a watermelon without getting sticky. Sometimes you just need to make a mess. And at least we won't have to worry about mosquitoes in here, another teammate adds, earning a collective eye roll because, let's be honest, who brings that up during a storm? You chuckle, appreciating their attempts to keep the mood light in your temporary sanctum. It feels oddly cozy, wrapped in soft layers of wool and fur, huddled close together like seals on an iceberg. Outside, the storm continues to rage, but you find yourself feeling more at ease. The shared warmth of your friends and the cautious flickers of light help calm your anxiety. Identifying fears amidst the chaos is never easy, but perhaps it's also about facing them together. Your heart races, not from fear of the storm, but from a deep sense of camaraderie as you look around at their determined faces. This is what adventure is all about. Getting lost in the wilderness, finding moments to treasure, and maybe even sharing a hoot or two over the ridiculousness of life. The fire inside the lamp crackles softly, the warm light flickering shadows on the cave walls, creating a stage for old stories to dance upon. One friend begins to narrate the legend of an ancient treasure that was said to be protected by the spirits of the sea. With every word, your imagination pulsates, weaving visual tapestries of daring escapades and heroic feats that defy time itself. You listen intently, falling deeper into the rhythm of the tale, the perfect antidote to the frightful winds outside. A sudden crash echoes through the cave, and you all jump, hearts racing like impatient penguins trying to waddle away from danger. Just a wave of rock, you reassure yourself. Then someone pipes up, attempting to secure the light-hearted momentum. If things go south, let's all agree that the last one out buys dinner. The laughter bursts forth uncontrollably as you acknowledge the absurd notion of escaping a storm unscathed only to trip headfirst into a dinner bill. As the storm persists, you realize that treasure hunting may come with currents of unpredictability, but the real gems shine through the trials and tribulations you endure together. You remind yourself, sometimes it's the unplanned storms that illuminate bonds, revealing strength you never knew you had. And for that, you couldn't be more grateful, even in the face of swirling winds and dark clouds. As the storm howls outside, the flickering glow of the seal oil lamp casts soft shadows across the walls of the cave, and the air is thick with anticipation. Suddenly, a spirited conversation ignites among your friends. You can feel the electricity of their excitement, like the crackle of the oil lamp as they bicker over the origins of the treasure you seek. "I bet it was hidden by an ancient sailor who saw a mermaid," one of your friends declares, waving their arms dramatically. The rest laugh, imagining a sailor trying to impress a mermaid with his collection of shiny rocks. Another friend, holding the newly discovered artifact delicately like it's made of glass, chimes in, "No way. This could be centuries old, maybe part of a larger trading system the Inuit had." They were expert hunters and traders. Historians even believe they traded seal oil with coastal settlements as far away as Greenland. The air vibrates with mixed opinions, and you can't help but engage. Your curiosity piqued. Okay, but what about the possibility that this was just a simple fisherman's lucky haul? You know, like when you go fishing and actually catch something. You shrug, trying to breathe life into the debate without adding too much fuel to the fire. "Simple fisherman," another friend bursts into laughter. "Yeah, right. You mean the kind of fisher who tells tales at the local pub about the one that got away. I can already see the headline. Local fisher strikes gold," with a side of seal oil. As laughter fills the space, you momentarily forget about the storm, enveloped in warmth and friendship. But the debate continues with renewed vigor. Historians still argue whether the Inuit had established trade routes like other cultures. Some believe their networks extended across the Arctic, while others claim they were relatively isolated, one friend states earnestly. Your heart swells. They're diving deep into history, bringing in elements of scholarly discussion. I'd like to think they were experts in the art of bartering, maybe even traded for tips on making the best seal oil lamps. Imagine a meeting of the minds between the Inuit and the ancient Greeks, with everyone vying for the last can of oil. You chuckle softly as you picture philosophers debating over lamp designs instead of theories. Another friend surprisingly counters, "Well, just because they lived in the Arctic doesn't mean they didn't appreciate a good bath. They might have found themselves trading with the Greeks at some point. You know, hey, I'll sell you some seal oil if you teach me how to make those fancy bathtubs." The image of an oil lamp-accompanied spa day in the Arctic leaves you in stitches. As the banter flows, someone pulls out a worn-out book, flipping through its pages, searching for guidance on their arguments. "Wait here, I have a theory. It says that some artifacts found in northern Alaska show connections to Siberian cultural influences. What if this treasure ties into that?" You feel the thrill of discovery course through your veins. Each tidbit shared feels like a new thread being woven into the fabric of your adventure. You lean in, feeling intellectually stimulated and undeniably excited. So you're saying we might have something that connects us to ancient peoples across the Bering Strait, like a historical game of telephone, where the line just kept getting longer. The laughter echoes once more, easing the tension as a brilliant idea surfaces in your mind. I think we should name this treasure. It could be like a long-lost artifact that deserves its day in the sun. Maybe something like the sassy seal treasure. Everyone chuckles. But deep down you know you've sparked a playful thread of creativity that'll live on in everyone's memories, adding new chapters to this adventure collective. Just then, a gust of wind crashes against the cave entrance, causing a rumble that almost distracts from the fervor of the discussion. Like the echo of distant drums, it serves as a reminder of the storm outside and the history woven through the very ground you sit upon. Your friend with the book waves it around, excitedly proclaiming, "Whatever we discover about this treasure, remember, it's not just about the finding. It's the stories we gather, the laughter we share, and the bonds we form." The wisdom in their words resonates as you all unwrap yet another layer of your adventure, stimulating conversation and the thrill of exploration. As the storm rages outside, you feel cocooned in a world full of possibility, opining and debating amid the primal strength of nature surrounding you. And for tonight, this cave, filled with the whispers of history and the laughter of friends, feels like the most magical treasure of all. You lean closer to the table, your fingers brushing against the cold surface of the artifacts spread out before you. Your friends shift around you, their eyes sparkling with intrigue as they examine the aged trinkets. No longer just pieces of an ancient puzzle, these objects seem to speak of stories long buried under snow and ice. Suddenly, you notice an intricately carved bone pendant that catches the flickering light of the oil lamp. It's adorned with shapes that seem to depict two figures entwined amid swirling clouds, an uncanny mixture of romance and mystery. Maybe these two were star-crossed lovers from rival clans. You quip, chuckling just a little. As you keep studying the pendant, a memory surfaces. You remember a historical fact shared in a previous class. Many Inuit communities used intricate storytelling as a form of history keeping, passing tales of love and rivalry through generations. Here in this cave, you feel these stories come alive, wrapping around you like the soft fur of a polar bear on a chilly day. You gently pick up the pendant, turning it to catch the light. It'd be hilarious if this artifact belonged to a romantic who couldn't choose between two seals. One of your friends jokes, drawing laughter from the group. You can't help but giggle as an image of a love-struck seal emerges in your mind. Yet the laughter fades once you realize how deep this story might run. Delving deeper into your explorations, you notice another item, a small weathered journal, its pages tattered but still holding delicate sketches. Historians still argue whether Inuit communities primarily wrote down their histories or passed them orally. Yet this journal suggests a blend of both. You flip through the pages filled with loving notes, even a few scribbled song lyrics. One note captures your attention. "Your laughter is the sun that melts the ice around my heart." You share it aloud with your friends, who sigh dramatically as if they're in the middle of a sappy love movie. You connect the notes with the pendant, wondering if it belonged to the same individuals. Maybe this pendant symbolized unyielding affection challenged by deep-rooted rivalries. "This is better than any rom-com," you exclaim, prompting another round of amused protests as your friends begin mimicking overly dramatic scenes. Suddenly, you hear a low rumble of thunder outside, sending shivers down your spine. There's something whimsical about the storm echoing the timeless tension of love and betrayal you're uncovering here. It's almost as if the ancient winds are retelling old tales of passion and conflict, refusing to let them rest. You playfully suggest, Maybe these two lovebirds thought they could meet in a cove, but their families had other ideas, like totally crashing their date like a really bad sitcom. The light laughter masks a sense of gravity as you realize that these artifacts are not just treasures. They're remnants of people's hopes, regrets, and dreams. You glance at your friends, who continue debating the story while your mind races further. You think about how betrayal often weaves into the fabric of love, reminding you of your favorite troublesome romance novel. You can't help but wonder if the enemies to lovers trope originated here in these pages, long before the concept even existed in the world of modern media. Searching deeper into the artifact collection, your eyes land on a deep, shimmering stone with a mysterious symbol etched into its surface. You and your friends discuss theories about what it could mean. Could it represent the two families in conflict? Someone mentions, maybe it's a magic rock that can mend broken hearts. Taking it all in, you breathe out softly, pacing your words. Here, in this chilly cave with your friends, you feel consciousness of time echo around you. It's almost laughable, holding these treasures etched with emotions from centuries ago, while snuggled up warmly like seals in a crowd. So, what's the moral of the story? Don't let your family interfere in your dating life, you declare, pretending to shrug nonchalantly. Yet as the idea floats in the air, you also feel a tinge of sincerity. Maybe the real lesson here is that even among icy waters and harsh realities, love thrived and left its mark, just as the artifacts have. You put the artifacts back gently, feeling the weight of history resting in your hands. You look around at your friends, exchanging glances that spell out an understanding. This journey is not merely about the treasure. It's about the connections we make and the stories we share while we uncover the past. As the storm outside begins to quiet, you realize you're not merely unraveling a mystery. You are standing at the intersection of love and loss, just as those before had and always would. Suddenly, the thought hits you. Every twist at the end of the story is a new beginning, like the thaw of spring revealing the warmth of life after a long winter. You feel grateful for the laughter and bonds formed amidst the backdrop of an age-old tale, carrying dreams of love in your heart as you drift off into sweet sleep, surrounded by warmth, friendship, and treasured memories. You stand atop the icy ledge, the wind biting at your cheeks as the sun dips low on the horizon. Below you, the shimmering expanse of ice thins, a vast carpet of white blanketing the site of the treasure. Heart pounding, you can feel your friends flanking you, their eyes darting to the shadows as the rival group steps into view, a dark contrast against the glacial backdrop. This is it, the final showdown. In the distance, laughter echoes, a sharp reminder of how history can twist even in moments of confrontation. You remember a tale about how, in some ancient Inuit communities, laughter was considered a remedy for conflict. You can only hope the same principle will work here. I didn't know we invited a gaggle of geese to the party, you call out, trying to keep the mood light while the air thickens with tension. One of the rivals sneers back, their eyes narrowed, clearly unimpressed by your quip. You might need to step it up. As they approach, you feel nerves prickling down your spine. This isn't just about the treasure, but also the respect between rival tribes, a deep-seated connection rooted in generations of sharing and strife. Historians still argue whether treasure hunting helped foster or hinder intertribal diplomacy back then. You can't help but wonder if today's encounter will rewrite that narrative in a most dramatic fashion. Your friend Juno nudges you. We've talked about this, but I'm still not sure what the retrieval plan is, other than asking them for a friendly trade, or maybe a dance-off. A dance-off, you whisper back incredulously, stifling a grin. Please, we're not here for a hip-hop contest. But just imagine, we could be the first Inuit two-step dance champions. Juno rolls their eyes, but the corners of their mouth lift, a tiny flicker of levity that helps. You remember the seal oil lamps you studied, marveling at how communities relied on them for heat and light, proving that even in darkness, Warmth can be forged through innovation and resilience. The rival leader steps forward, a tall figure with determination etched on their face, clutching a crude map. You think your stories give you strength? That pendant won't save you here, they retort, waving the map as if it were a legendary sword. I'd trade this pendant for your map any day, but honestly, it's probably just telling you where the nearest coffee shop is, you retort, fueled by a mix of bravery and maybe a touch of madness. You take a deep breath, grounding yourself in the moment as the group's energy shifts between confidence and caution. You notice the thin cracks on the ice beneath them. One misstep could send them tumbling into the frigid depths below. Perhaps this isn't just about confrontation. Maybe it's a test of wits and footing. You signal to Juno, who returns a knowing nod. With a secret plan in mind, you dip into the ancient tales you've learned. Hey, you call dramatically. Legend says whoever holds the map controls the treasure. The rival group pauses, glancing at each other, a flicker of uncertainty crossing their faces. You can see a tiny storm brewing in their discussions. Could they be swayed? If that's true, then this treasure belongs to us. The leader barks back, pointing to your group. Hand over the pendant and we might let you go. No hard feelings, right? You can't help but feel a tinge of disbelief. You must really think highly of that pendant if you believe it holds any real power. I mean, it's not like it dispenses hot cocoa or anything, right? The air tenses again as they murmur among themselves. Never underestimate the power of humor. Suddenly, a gust of wind howls around you, lifting flakes of snow like whispers through the air. You can feel the icy atmosphere thickening with tension. Juno starts leading you back, steering the group closer to the edge of the treasure's location. The map in the rival leader's hand begins to flutter violently in the wind. Perhaps it's time to test their nerves. Unfazed, you approach slowly, keeping a watchful eye on their shivering figures. Just as you reach the edge of where the treasure could very well be buried, you sweep your hand dramatically through the air like a magician revealing a grand trick. What if we just joined forces? Find this treasure as a unity gift. You propose, taking a gamble while hoping for some collective warmth both teams could share against the cold. A discomforting silence falls, and suddenly the rival leader bursts out laughing, the sound infectious. Okay then, but we're definitely not sharing the treasure. The air relaxes, laughter swirling around you, melting the tension just a bit. You realize, perhaps there's more to this treasure than merely physical wealth. The real prize could lie in collaboration, laughter, and the warmth of making a new connection amid the icy landscape. As the sky darkens, colors morphing into a cool twilight, you take a step closer to the rival group. They might just be a gaggle of goofballs, but in this moment, united by laughter, you join together to discover what lies beneath the wintry surface. An adventure that goes beyond a mere treasure hunt. And with one last playful quip about penguin dances, you feel a shiver that is more from excitement than fear as you prepare to uncover the real treasures of history together. It's not just about finding something, but rather about sharing the warmth of adventure with those who were once strangers. A lesson etched in the icy winds around you, reminding you that even in the coldest climates, collaborations can spark the brightest fires. As the snow begins to fall gently again, you realize this story, like the many tales of love and conflict you've uncovered, will be one you carry and share for years to come. With the laughter echoing softly around you, the snow thickening beneath your feet, you and your new friends stand on the verge of discovery. Your hearts race in unison, echoing the ancient rhythms of your ancestors who, just like you, sought warmth and connection in their icy world. As you dig through the soft, powdery crust, the first glimmer of something catching the last whispers of sunlight sends shivers of excitement through your spine. It's challenging to shake the feeling that just beneath this layer of snow lies something extraordinary. You've already shared your best marshmallow roasting skills. Imagine what else you can unearth together. With a few more shovels of snow displaced, You finally unveil a weathered wooden chest, its surface rough yet inviting, as if it bears the stories of countless generations. Carefully, you lift the lid, a small gasp escaping your lips. Inside, not gold or jewels glimmer, but a collection of beautifully crafted items. Sledges with intricately designed runners, furs that seem to shiver at the hint of wind, and several beautifully woven baskets overflowing with dried berries. An ancient form of sustenance from times when food was required to last through the bitter months. Well, I guess berries to go isn't quite what I expected in a treasure hunt, you joke, lightening the mood as everyone leans in for a better look. What you uncover is less a hoard of riches and more a trove of history, storytelling artifacts that reflect the lives of those who came before. You exchange glances with your companions, each of you realizing that these items hold stories of survival, ingenuity, and the warmth of community, not to mention some lovely knitting patterns for the long winters ahead. As you sift through the contents, you can't help but notice the woven textures of the baskets, each strand telling a story of woven skill passed from one generation to another. You recall a conversation you overheard about how people in traditional Inuit communities used to make their baskets strong enough to hold seal oil. It's said that a woman once wove an entire school's worth of baskets in one sitting. Apparently, she was really fired up about it. Historians still argue whether these communities relied more on cooperation than competition, but it certainly seems that your little band of misfits has struck the right balance this day. The metaphorical ice of rivalry has melted amidst shared laughter and discovery. Suddenly, this treasure feels like more than just objects. It embodies the unity and resilience needed to thrive in the harshest landscapes. You feel surprisingly cozy standing amidst potential competitors who have become companions. Speaking of warmth, did you know that the traditional seal oil lamps, called qulliqs, were not just for light but for warmth too? They served as a dual-purpose miracle. Honestly, who knew oil lamps could also double as intimate conversation starters? Imagine. So, shall we get together over tea and see who can make a better seal oil lamp? Feeling a hint of awe, you reach for a beautifully crafted sled. You can imagine it being pulled across vast expanses of snow. A means of transport bringing families together, gathering for the hunt, or simply sharing stories around a warm fire at the end of long days. You tell your fellow treasure hunters, "This is the kind of sled I could really take for a spin." Let me warn you though, my driving skills might be a bit rough asterisk. They laugh and you all revel in this moment of joy. A relic of the past reminding you that life, enriched by the bonds you forge, outshines the lure of material wealth. As the sun dips lower on the horizon, casting a warm glow over your group, you feel the weight of the lanterns you now hold, their significance far exceeding mere antiquities. This moment, this shared experience, blooms into the gift of companionship. In this cold expanse, you've unearthed a warmth that is deeper than the seal oil used to light the lamps. With gentle nudges and warm laughter, you agree to take these items back to your respective communities, pledging to share their stories and significance historically, while adapting new ones together. The cold wind bites at your cheeks, but inside, you hold a piece of history, a thread that weaves you into the vast tapestry of life in the Arctic. You realize that the real treasure isn't what you found in that chest, but rather the connections you forged, the shared laughter, and the stories you'll carry forward. Now that's worth more than all the gold in the world. The gentle crackling of the fireplace serves as the soundtrack to your evening, the warm glow mirroring the flicker of memories from your recent journey. Home at last, you and your friends gather around, a circle of camaraderie, reflecting on the adventures that have bound you all together in ways you never anticipated. Remember the way we tripped over mounds of snow, only to realize we were just a stone's throw away from the village market? One of your friends chuckles. It's moments like these, sewn into the fabric of your journey, That will become the tapestry of shared stories you'll retell till the polar bears come home. Lounging in cozy furniture, you recall the relentless pursuit of warmth, bottling the know-how of hanging whale bones and burning seal oil, your modern-day Arctic alchemy. You allowed yourselves to channel the craft and cunning of the early Inuit. Their brilliance transformed mere survival into an art form. Now you laugh at how, like them, you carved your own ineffable tailies from the icy fingers of the North. Did you know that the Inuit were amongst some of the first to make toys out of animal bones? That's right, while gizmos today beep and whir, their playthings were silent but possibly jolted the imaginations beyond. Imagine that, but let's not stray too far into toy history. Otherwise, you'll never get to dreamland. All this provides a backdrop for historians' debate on whether their inventive spirit was driven more by necessity or by an innate human yearning for innovation and creativity. Isn't it something? Even the legends lend themselves every which way to argument. As you sip your warm drink, the steam curls in the air like wisps of memory, the conversations dibbling and dabbling like the distant echoes of the Arctic Sea. And the day we realized we'd been following old folktale riddles instead of any real map. Another voice beams. Who needs treasure when you have spontaneity? Mischievous grins abound, and you can almost hear the wind whipping through the snowy terrain of your escapade as you relish the stories of human resilience interwoven with nature's rigors. Human resilience doesn't always manifest from trying situations, though. Sometimes, it's simply finding humor amidst adversity, like when your makeshift seal oil lamp sparked not just the tiny flames, but an unanticipated flame war about who forgot to pack matches. Oh, the perils of modern-day adventurers. It's a tale that tickles your memories long after, knowing now you each contributed in so many quirky ways. If the objective was solely to prove history's compass, historians still argue whether certain Inuit techniques were adapted from other cultures or vice versa. Regardless, your group discovered its very own cardinal rule. The direction you journey with good company is far more meaningful than any barren landscape you traverse. As the night deepens, the shadows stretch, giant puppets that echo the past's mysteries. You feel that shared bond in subtle nuances, in ephemeral whispers of those that have long multiplied across time. Your adventures would be stowed away carefully in the chest of cherished recollections, with passwords amongst kin formed by spontaneities and laughter. A lazy yawn escapes, trickling like the softest lullaby. Adventure's end leaves space for dreams yet untold. Perhaps those Inuit storytellers will reappear, mapping new lands of slumber tonight, showing you that the divinest of treasures aren't found in gold or glory, but in bonds formed amid frost and wanderlust. And as you gaze at drowsy flames, soon as ashes of the day, the ease of sleep takes the reins, as if honoring the journey itself, weaving dreams beneath a blanket of history's embrace. The map sprawls before you like an invitation to worlds unknown, teasing you with wisps of breeze from lands that have yet to surface in your dreams. You gaze at the parchment, yellowed and textured as if belonging to the ancient legends themselves, or maybe just slightly mistreated by the same Viking who invented the messy desk aesthetic. It calls out to the curious wanderer within you. It's as if the map murmurs stories of bustling traders, forgotten by most save the grains of sand counting time beneath the Arctic sun. Here a mountain, there an island, each stroke of ink on the map, a step making you itch for adventure. As you study the lines and drawings, your fingers trace over a section that seems to hint at a place where day-to-day rumbles with extraordinary potential. Maybe it's a land of whispering seals and mischievous puffins, a place where icebergs double as couches for storytelling, and nobody, certainly not Father Time, ever runs out of hot cocoa. Within these territories, you can almost hear the echoes of fish tailies recounted under sprightly aurora borealis. Your eyelids grow heavier, and thoughts turn to the notion of far-flung lands, rich with historical complexity. It reminds you of when European explorers first stumbled upon the riches of spice lands and incidentally discovered that the world didn't actually end where the ocean got grumpy. Thank goodness for that. Otherwise, how would anyone have invented the souvenir? Remember when explorers navigated using the astrolabe? Historians still argue whether reliance on these ancient instruments was a stroke of genius or a lesson in nearsighted optimism. The corners of your mouth curl slightly as you recall the story of a cartographer so overeager in their drawing that they'd sketch sea monsters where the ink ran dry, which explains all those dragon sightings in small fishing towns. Or was it just a sly plot to keep their maps exclusive? Either way, talk about creative cartography. As you lower your gaze back to the map, you notice a peculiar symbol that's unlike any other. An X that doesn't quite mark a spot but almost dares you to find the riddle in its placement. It's as if the cartographer themselves chuckle somewhere in history's attic, having left behind puzzles for dreamers like you to ponder. You are reminded how maps themselves are a tapestry of history and conjecture. Each line conveys a story crafted by both the mapmaker's keen eye and inventive spirit. While the debate over who drew the first maps may never reach a definitive conclusion, some historians will stretch their measure of time to the likes of Babylon, and others still champion the navigators of the Pacific Islands. One thing remains certain: maps play a critical role in shaping how and when civilizations meet. You can almost sense the bated breaths of those who journeyed land and sea to make discoveries that would ripple through time, and how metrics like longitude and latitude became an adventurer's second language. These imaginary lines concocted a dimension where, surprisingly, not everything round had to mirror a pancake. Among these trails, you envision the trepidation and excitement as travelers journeyed further than they had ever dreamed, armed only with a map and the stars above. A new world experience starkly different from your own nights of flicking through streaming platforms. Your eyelids stage a friendly protest at the ongoing parade of thoughts, clinging to one last whimsical detail. A map recently uncovered that was once a floor mat in a shoeless household, doubling both as ancient artifact and modern ergonomics. Sleepy chuckles spill into the silence of your room, the gentle rustling as time leads you back to cozy dreams. The journey to other realms may have to wait for another night, but the map will be there, waiting on your bedside, narrating whispers of what might await the next time you dare to open it. As the night deepens and the chilled air nips at the edges of your thoughts, you find comfort in the soft glow of your surroundings, imagining those early Inuit communities huddled together in their warm, cozy igloos. You can almost hear the gentle flicker of seal oil lamps casting dancing shadows on the walls, illuminating the intricate carvings of their ancestors that tell stories of resilience and warmth. In this serene atmosphere, you wonder how they shared laughter as the light curled around them like a protective embrace. A family bound not just by blood, but by the shared warmth of survival. The joys of storytelling filled the air, much like the smell of fresh fish on a winter's eve. Definitely an acquired taste, but who's judging? You chuckle softly to yourself, blissfully imagining the legendary feasts that must have occurred as they traded tailies with a splash of humor. Though many marvel at how long they thrived in such harsh environments, historians still argue whether it was their seal oil lamps or their superior navigation skills that kept them warmest through those dark, endless nights. Perhaps it was a little bit of both, and definitely a sprinkle of seal blubber. What a large pinch of humor that must have added. As you settle deeper into your own cozy haven, remember the curious fact that some Inuit even experimented with using the blubber to make ice cream, a treat that certainly sounds like a chilly experience, but definitely worth the squeeze. Gradually, as your eyes grow heavier, imagine the warmth radiating around you, wrapping you like the softest blanket, inviting you to surrender to the gentle embrace of slumber, where dreams and warmth intertwine effortlessly, a sweet lullaby echoing softly as you drift away.